Now, apparently, get this, okay? The average Malaysian throws about 1.64 kilograms of waste in a day. And it's a mind-boggling fact. I mean, for myself, I don't throw that much, right? But you know, I actually did this reality show many years ago, and what we did was they actually tried to see just how much wastage that I did in a week, and it was alarming because who would have thought that me, who is so-called, you know, eco-conscious, environmentally conscious about the environment, and here I am throwing all these stuff. And sad to say, it's mostly all our food wastage, all right? So we're going to be dissecting this topic in large and how to manage our rubbish better. All this and more with our experts in just a bit. Now, before we delve into our topic of waste management, let's take a look at some facts about the waste management here in Malaysia. Some crazy statistics there. You know, as I mentioned earlier on, it's just mind-boggling how we have, you know, all these litter bugs around us, thinking that, you know, we're in this new modern era where we should be, you know, more aware of how we throw our rubbish more responsibly. We've got all these trash cans being prepared by our government or the people who are providing us with all these amenities, and yet we are still littering away. And worse still, when you see all this rubbish being thrown just below the sign where it says, "Dilarang membuang sampah," do not throw any rubbish here. It's just crazy. And it's not as if we Malaysians are not aware that littering is wrong. I guess it's something about the mentality that we have. I don't know. I'm going to speak to our guests for today about our littering culture. We have with us Dato' A.B. Rahim bin Muhammad Noor, who is the Ketua Pegawai Executive for the Solid Waste Management and Public Cleansing Corporation. That's quite a mouthful. Good morning, welcome to the show. We also have my friend Yasmin Rasyid, founder and chairman of EcoKnights, as well as Encik Muhammad Saiful, who's the CEO of Environment Idaman. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning.
All right, first and foremost, anyone who can answer this, what actually happens, right? So I throw my rubbish into the trash can, and then it goes into this other huge green trash can, and then the people pick it up. What happens next, Dato'?
Yeah, first, when we have already collected these rubbish, we send these rubbish to the landfill. The trucks by the concessionaires or the contractors are supposed to collect all this rubbish.
Okay.
They send to the landfills. At the moment, we have only these kind of facilities in Malaysia. In other countries, we have, they have, for example, incinerators and anaerobic digesters and other facilities. So here, the issue is the issue of having limited resources for landfills, for example. And the cost of collecting, transferring, and at the same time dumping also escalates from time to time.
The cost?
The cost
okay.
of...
How much are we looking at, Dato'?
At the moment, when we collect this, the areas that we are covering, some states they are recovering, It costs up to 1.6 billion ringgit
We're
per
spending
year.
that much just cleaning up our crap.
If we can
literally
reduce those costs, we can use it for other purposeful kind of installations or amenities, roads and schools and whatever we want to build.
All right, now Saiful, how are we running out of space? There's been reports that we are running out of space on our landfills, and even so, even our landfills that we have there, about 289, I'm not sure what is the current statistics now, but even that is running out, and it's not even alam mesra. It's not even eco-friendly per se. It's only 2.5%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Saiful.
Actually, in Malaysia, we have 296 landfills.
Okay, now it's gone up. Okay.
151 closed. Sorry, 151 is in operation, 130 is closed.
Okay.
And only 8 are sanitary landfills.
All right.
So basically...
Why is that? Why is it because it's privately owned, or how does it work?
Most of the landfills, I believe, belong to the state governments and also to the councils. And of course, the issue of the financial will be the major aspect why most of the landfills are so what we call a dump sites.
Yeah.
So because for you to build a sanitary landfill is very costly to you. And I don't think that the state government and also the council have sufficient financial strength.
That is not part of our budget?
Probably not at the moment, because what Dato has mentioned, in the near future, when the Act 672 is in place, and the federal government is taking over all the landfills later on, probably the government will put a budget necessary to make sure that
because right now the landfills are under the legislation of each of these
and the councils.
I see. Okay, that makes sense now, because why? It's just alarming how only 8 out of the 296 are eco or alam mesra. That's crazy. Now, Yasmin, I know you are someone who you've just fight your way through all this eco. You're an NGO and you're very much into helping out the environment. What are your thoughts on how is it possible that our neighboring country, which is so small in Singapore, you know, are able to implement all these laws and regulations, and they're just so scared. Even us, when we go in, or else I'm speaking for myself, when I go in, I'm a little bit more careful about littering. I don't chew gum there. You know, I feel as if, oh no, they're going to find me, they're going to find me. How is it even possible that that can work in a small country like Singapore, but we can't implement the same civic consciousness here in Malaysia? I mean, I'm sure you've had your...
just geographically, the fact that we're slightly bigger in size gives us an easier option to just perhaps, you know, allocate a land as a landfill. I don't think Singaporeans value a landfill economically, because they could do so much of development and sell it as rental space. And number two, if I'm not mistaken, they took out their sanitary, their landfill or the way they deal with waste outside Singapore to a man-made island where they have their own ways of processing their waste. So I would think for a country that's small, population of 5-6 million people, it would be probably more structured and easier to manage versus 29 million Malaysians here. That's one thing. But also, I think if you look at technology, I think Singapore is probably more interested to invest in, no doubt, very expensive technology, but technology that actually works for the country. So, I mean, we always hear about cost and money involved. Obviously, everything that's good is expensive. But then at what sacrifice to the country? So if it's an expensive technology, I think federal and state governments should look at, I mean, you're talking about waste, and we're running out of space for dealing with waste. We're talking about future homes that could potentially be on landfills, you know? So it is a heavy investment, but I think we're investing in a better future. So I'm not sure how financially the government can really look at, does it make economic sense to make this investment for 20 years of better air or better earth?
Coming back to that, how bad is it? I mean, a lot of people fail to understand. They just think that, ada lubang. They will cover it up. It will, you know, biodegrade some years later. Okay, what? But they don't understand, like, you know, we've only have 8 that is alam mesra. The rest of them are not. Just how dangerous is it? Can we just tell the viewers just how, you know, how it ruins our environment at the end of the day?
Yeah, I guess we must understand that the landfills, or we call it dump sites, produces a lot of hazardous, you know, air or or gases, or at the same time leachate, which is poisonous, and it goes to the river.
That just,
it seeps down to the river, and the river that we use it for your daily use. I guess this thing need to be stopped as soon as possible. We haven't checked really, but the Department of Environment has also been very serious about looking at these dump sites now.
Okay.
So I guess the best thing to do is to avoid, a lot of food waste, for example, because food waste consists of 45% of the whole range of waste components that we discard. So if we can reduce at least 20% of food waste by not wasting food, I guess that can solve a lot of problem here.
I guess at the end of the day, if his household is aware of it, like in my household at least, I will make sure, find out how many of us are actually eating at home, and my help will actually, monitor so that the portions won't go to waste. We literally, and if there's more left over, we'll bring it up to the next day, It's just too bad. You guys didn't finish your meal today. You guys are going to have leftovers for lunch tomorrow. That's just how it is. But in business corporations, where we're talking about restaurants and people who have to produce all these food, and at the end of the day it goes to waste, how can we then, tell them that it's a business at the same time? Yeah, we know, but, they can just throw it away, and that's going to be part of their dollars and cents accounting, but it is wastage at the end of the day. What can we do?
We have already engaged. For example, we have a pilot project with hotels for example, in Kedah.
Wonderful, okay.
To inculcate the new culture that they don't waste food during buffet or whatever, breakfast. So they put a signages on the table that you can love food but don't waste.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
So this is
if you waste more, you have to pay extra, right?
Not to that extent
I've seen that
yet.
in other countries.
Yeah, but our country, we haven't started with that. We educate them, for example, not to waste.
Correct.
Yeah, the food that we're supposed to. Don't be so greedy looking at things that you want to.
Which normally happens, especially during Ramadan. I understand. I totally understand. Now, Saiful and Yasmin, I know you're dying to say more because I'm looking at you guys and you guys are like, yes, I've got more to say. And this is something that is, we should be made aware of, and we have been told this over and over again. Why are we still not implementing it? So we're going to get your thoughts about this. We're going to go for our first break here on Bella Celebrates Earth Day. Stay tuned. We still have our panelists to discuss more with regards to proper waste management. Bella celebrates Earth Day today, and because of that, we would like to say thank you to all those responsible for picking up our trash. We often say, often neglect them. We are often, they're unsung heroes, actually, because they make sure that our city is clean, that, everything is in order, because when you've got a trash full of, pile full of trash, it's just so icky, and it's just, it does. It's something about the aura, that's what, for me, at least. And while driving around, one of our roving reporters actually got a chance to talk to a few of these waste collectors, and they expressed their dissatisfaction with regards to how we treat them and how things are just not going their way. Let's hear what they have to say.
The Malaysian made 33,000 tons of waste per day, and that is equivalent to 20 size of football field with 1 meter of height. We always complain when we see people throw stuff and when we see garbage piled up on the side of the road. And we want to know from the people who are actually cleaning our garbage how they feel when they see people being irresponsible, when they are trying their best to take care of the environment. Let's check out what they have to say. Waste issue in Malaysia is nothing new. It is an eyesore watching trashes all around the road. But have you ever encountered people who throw rubbish irresponsibly just because they know there are people hired to pick up after them? So in conjunction of Bella Celebrates Earth Day, Bella team decided to drive around KL just to find out from the waste cleaners on how they are being treated in the society.
Orang buang sampah dia marah saya, betul. Awak biar hal apa? Awak siapa-siapa yang buang, awak suruh nak sapu. Awak tak kira siapa-siapa buang tak kira, awak tak kira. Awak payah gaji dapat gaji, awak tu dia apa tu awak sabulah.
Betul macam sampah taruh tengok macam mana kita mau angkat. Jarang sikit pun tara ingat kesian kita. Lagi kita macam kita bila surat sampah pun kita pam itu ayo tengok tuang tumpah. Jarang mau komplain. Saya juga mau komplain, bukan sekitar masalah. Dia orang taruh dalam tong sampah, mesti kena tutup. Kalau kena tutup, hujan air pun tak boleh masuk. Itu sampah kering. Bila kita pam, air taruh. Kalau komplain kita punya gaji kena potong macam mana? Kita punya gaji pun bukan tinggi, murah. Kita kerja susah, tapi dia orang tak ingat. Dia orang ingat mau komplain macam mana ni macam kita mana boleh cari makan?
Macam mana tengoklah. Sini ada air mah. Kita ambil sampah, ambil susah. Lepas tu ini tengok sana bungkus pun tak ada, apa pun tak ada. Macam mana ambil sampah?
Mr. Subra also expressed his hopes towards the society.
Tolong sama kita mau senang, dia orang mau senang. Sakit pun korang, dia orang tak ingat macam. Dia orang ingat serupa kita lembu juga. Dia orang bukan ingat manusia. Kalau ingat manusia, dia orang macam boleh bikin kat tara. Kalau boleh dia orang sampah taruh dalam tongka macam ni, taruh kita senang angkat. Macam ini dia orang taruh macam mana tengok. Kita mau angkat pun susah.
It was heartbreaking knowing that they are being treated unequally by some irresponsible people. After all, they are only asking for us Malaysians to learn a better way to manage our waste that will result to a cleaner and beautiful country. It is a long way to change one's mentality, but it requires a self-reflection and a sense of love for Malaysia to truly make people see that we need to change for the better.
Please don't litter.
Well, I can understand their dissatisfaction. If I had to go collecting rubbish and it's all sprawled like that, you know, wet and disgusting, who wouldn't complain, right? We're still joined by our panel of guests. We've got Dato' AB, we've got Yasmin, as well as Encik Saiful here, who are here to talk about the littering culture and what we can do to manage our waste management problem that we have here in Malaysia. First and foremost, Dato', I remember you saying when you were looking at the playback earlier, how that is one of the things that you want to address, that your team is trying to address.
Currently, we are very serious about stopping this illegal dumping. We really enforce our law, and the penalty is very stiff and very high.
Illegal dumping?
Yes, illegal dumping.
Oh.
This is the kind of illegal dumping that they
that means it's not in a proper place, is it? Okay, all right.
So at the moment, we have already catch few people doing that in the states that we are taking care of. For example, in Negeri Sembilan and Kuala Lumpur. And for example, in Negeri Sembilan, with this very strong, rigorous kind of enforcement, we have already eliminated all the illegal dumping sites in Negeri Sembilan. And we are going towards another state, which is Kedah. Soon, by the end of this month, we're going to stop all these things. And, you know, and then we go for another state, which is Malacca and also Perlis and
When
other
was
states.
this rigorous enforcement being enforced?
It starts
implemented,
2 months ago.
Okay, and that is probably the reason why it's just still very new. It's still baby steps still.
Yeah.
Because I think that was one of the reasons why a lot of people are saying, Allah, tak apalah, they've got this, like, you know, like I said, it's pathetic how we see all this, like, dilarang membuang sampah, and then there I'm like, can't you guys read? And come on, and we're in Kuala Lumpur. It's not as if we're like in the rural areas, right? Now, Saiful, your thoughts about how, you know, how a lot of people are having this tidak apa attitude, and what can we change? What can we do? What is there to be done?
That's a tough question, actually. We manage solid waste management in the northern Kedah and Perlis. That's what Dato' is mentioning. And we have taken over these services.
Yours is a private entity, right?
Yeah, I'm the appointed concessionist by the government. So one of the issues that we faced during our first taking over from the authorities in 2010 is the attitude of the publics. as you said just now, if you've seen the workers, that is what's happening on the grounds. That public is saying that you are getting paid, you do it. And in fact, that happens to myself, where I try to say something to the one of the guys, and said, why do you want to throw it outside the bins? We have provided you the bins. He said, who cares?
That was actually told to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who cares? I throw it here, you get paid, you do it. So I believe the enforcement that Dato' had mentioned 2 months back will be the first good start for the government to enforce in Malaysia.
And again, it still boils down to our household. Yasmin, I can't remember if it was you or one of your partners who mentioned this in one of your papers, or I can't remember. I remember reading it some time back, about how the enforcement is still so important, and actually implementing it and making sure that it is done. Because people are seeing like, oh, dilarang, don't do this, don't do that, but no one's actually enforcing or implementing those rules and regulations. There's no fear.
Yeah, there's a lot of public apathy. And I think to get the enforcers to do the job, pardon my language, they just have to get medieval on everyone's back.
Okay.
If we really appreciate the importance of recycling, reduce, and all the 4 or 3 R's that we want to do, we're not really practicing in real life. We're still collecting rubbish, mixed rubbish, and like Dato' mentioned, 45% of it is organic waste. I think in a lot of more developed countries, the concessionaire won't pick up your rubbish if you don't separate, for instance, or you don't put it in the right bin, for instance. And I think some countries even enforce beyond a certain amount, you actually have to pay, you get a bill, because this is a very important service. And unfortunately, Malaysians, you know, out of sight, out of mind. And I can hear it, you know, I can tell the lorry sampah is coming because I'll hear kids and your moms around my housing area, lorry sampah datang, and boom, everyone slams the door because it smells, right? But at the same time, no one really understands or has apathy for the person picking up our rubbish. And I actually have utmost respect for these guys who do their jobs, because if you actually don't close your door and observe what they do, they actually go through your trash and take out the plastics and take out the paper, and they have a separate area, because for them, every plastic, no matter how big or small, is a certain number of cents.
Okay.
And you know, for them, it's a way to supplement their income, because obviously they know who to recycle with, and they make maybe extra 20 ringgit every month. Even a guy who angkat our sampah realized the value of waste.
Why can't
and
we?
here we are going to school and university.
You know, I had a very interesting chat with Dato' in the makeup room, where I was saying it's really, again, I get really, because I'm here doing it, my kids are doing it, and I see someone just putting food waste into, you know what, we have those bins, plastic, tins, and glass, right, recycling bins, and they're just putting it. And Dato', you were saying that you were in Oxford recently, and you probably have a better
a good
method?
lesson that I have learned from them is they simplify how the citizens throw their rubbish. They just separate between food waste and non-food waste. So it's easier for the public to have a separate container.
How lazy can you be, right?
Separate container for that.
Already, yeah.
And then the recyclables materials or items can be sorted out later on, you know, to be given to the recycling centers, for example.
Okay.
So that helps to increase, for example, previously it was about 5% recycling rate in Oxford as compared to us. It was the same percentage that we had last time, 10 years ago.
Okay.
Now they have already reached 45%, whereas we just jumped double the price.
That's a huge jump.
To only 10.5% now.
Okay.
So I think the new strategy
that you will be proposing to the board?
We want to propose to the government, but the current policy has, you know, stipulated certain thing that we need to review this kind of policy in many areas. Yeah.
All right, Saiful, you being the concessionaire, sila words when you're jet lagged. Being that you of course you understand how the system is and everything. We've got all these campaigns, you know, campaign Kita Semula, campaign Cintai Alam Sekitar, and all these stuff. How is our success rate so far, and is there much more improvement for us?
I believe there is a lot more improvement that we need to do, actually. I believe last year, the record is only 10.5% recycling rates for the 5% that Dato' mentioned.
Okay.
We are targeting for 22% in 2020. and we are only 7 or 8 years behind. I believe that, yeah, I believe that what Datuk has mentioned is correct, because if you can separate from the wet and the dry waste, 45% is gone. It just goes up to at least 45 to 50. 22% is just nothing for us.
Do you agree with this, Yasmin? That this could be another angle that we can, as opposed to having the three?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Saiful was saying, we're definitely way behind time. So we need to catch up for the lost times for that. And also, at the end of the day, you know, policies are policies, but how do we translate policies into everyday actions? For the normal layperson, I'm not talking about people who are doing excellent jobs like the gentleman over here, but who actually goes down to the ground and actually make it happen. Just plastics, for instance. I mean, like, we know it's so detrimental. We know it's the cause of a lot of flash floods. Yet we still are quite proud of this 1 day a week kind of thing, you know. Technically, if we're really, really serious about this, I just hope we show it a little bit more to the right yet.
And in bringing your own bags and stuff. It's just implementing it stronger.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that you said in some countries they refuse to pick up the rubbish if you're not separating it. And in fact, I think they have even proper, they've got a standardized rubbish bag which is strong enough but still biodegradable friendly, is that the word? The ones that, you know, and it's strong enough because, you know, sampah berat at the end of the day. Ini kalau basah, you don't close your lid properly, and then, of course, we've got all these stray dogs and animals sniffing around, and that's where the water comes in. I think it still goes down into going back to the drawing board and just going back to the basic, no, this has to be done. This is what has to be implemented. If there's going to be a One Malaysia bag, which is a standardized bag that just makes, then so be it. You know, it has to...
Let's put it this way, like changing policies or meddling upon policies, I think would probably be the job of a few, and it's much easier. But changing a mindset, changing attitude takes a longer task. And we have education in school, but then you can't just leave children and go to school and hope to get them all indoctrinated with green messages and come back when your own moms and dads don't take them seriously.
I've actually got an interesting story to share, but we're going to go for another quick break here on Bella Celebrates Earth Day, and we will continue this discussion since it's such a hot topic right after this. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Yes, let's get down to business now. What are we, the household, women, men, household people actually, what are some of the common mistakes that they're doing when they're disposing their waste? What are the major no-nos? Yasmin?
Not separating it. I think that's very, very basic. If you don't know how to separate, that means you basically don't know what you're throwing out. And I think that first path of ignorance is very, very detrimental, even before you throw it outside. So when I ask people to separate their waste, you know, I'm not expecting you to go buy those blue, orange, and brown bins and put it at home. Like, for my house, it's any cardboard box would do. I just, you know, initially I had to force my kids to, you know, start drawing in it because I wanted them to feel ownership. Like, if you created that box, maybe you would make use of that box. So for us, a recycling bin is any box that's not being used, and we label it, and there you go. Once it's full, we just take the whole thing out with the card box and let it, send it to the recycling center.
I like that bit when we have to recycle it with the kids because it's like a little bonding session where we all go together and we, you know, separate. Because I have just one bin for, you know, there's food, of course, all the food waste, and of course, all the recyclables. And then we go in and we go like, okay, which one's plastic, which one's... So it's a little fun bonding session. But having said that, again, it boils down to our educators, the people who are with our kids. Earlier on during the break, we were saying who are our key target people when we're creating all these campaign awareness programs. And yet at the end of the day, macam tak ada pun, because it's not the adults at the end of the day, because what's this? Dogs, what there's that saying?
Old habits.
All habits die hard. You know, so it's the kids that we're looking at, right? Saiful, Dato'?
Yes.
I think it's women.
Okay. Why is it women, Yasmin?
Because we manage the house. I mean, half the decision at home, I think we decide to a large extent. And if between a dad and a mom, I think the mom would be probably the right figure to pull in the fun factor for it. And if women do half of the population are women, and they run their houses. So statistically, if women can just do this extra mile, it's not a gender thing, but do the extra mile, I think it would be a cleaner, greener household.
Do you agree, gentlemen? Dato'?
Yeah, I do agree very much.
Yes.
Because in my home, since I work with this agency for the past 7 months, my wife has changed his way of doing things. For example, when he wants to cook, he will ask me, are you coming back this evening or not?
That's good to know about the
and
portions
ask
of the meals.
her daughters or son whether you're coming back or not. If you don't come back, so I don't have to cook.
Buat apa, sayang?
And then if they have to cook very little, just for that particular dinner. For example, you change to spaghetti or whatever food that is, easier to manage. So another thing is, she now has a practice of not buying more things, when they go to the shopping malls.
Yes.
All the foods.
Guilty.
So I will look at the fridge. This is too excessive, I say it. Maybe we have to... That saves us a lot of
money. Money as well.
And for the economy as a general for the country, if we buy less things, then the demand for those foods items will be less, and the price of food items will be less.
Correct.
In future for the whole country.
And we're not just talking about food, it's about all these other things that we do. I know, women, we and our handbags and shoes. But you can live with just one black high heel, girls. You can. Saiful, we discussed earlier on that 45% of the waste is from our organic food waste.
Food waste, yes.
What can we do to, is there a way to recycle food waste besides composting? Because some people are a bit girly. I've done it before. It's not my cup of tea. But, so I in the end, I just make sure my portions I don't waste food.
Yeah.
What can we do?
45% is the food waste, and we have another 5 to 10% on the other organic waste. Amazingly, I went to Thailand last few months.
Oh, Thailand, okay.
And they are recycling all this food waste using the anaerobic digestion system.
Oh. But then again, their king is quite environmentally friendly.
Amazingly,
okay.
Because...
and you think Thailand not so? Dia lebih kurang, Indonesia, Malaysia lebih kurang kita punya level. But no, wow.
If we can do that...
Are we not doing it? Nothing at all?
50% is gone, actually. Because when I went to Thailand, I went to visit this simple technology because they are more on microbes.
Okay.
The bacteria that eat food waste. Yeah? So what they do, they will have a pure food waste from the restaurants, from the household. Of course, they will have to implement separation at source for a small pilot projects. Okay. And they will put the microbes. And from that microbes, it will create a gas. So that gas can be used for a cooking gas. And it just pipe to your stove. And we went to several schools in Thailand. They have been implementing it.
If we know that there's this technology, why are we not implementing it? Is it because of the costs involved, Dato'?
Yeah, probably we are not used to what other people have done. Now we are looking into it very seriously. In fact, we are trying to build facilities in Putrajaya, still under negotiation with the local council.
See, there's too much red tape. Stop it.
Yeah, but because the installation costs a lot, millions of ringgit. So the government has to really look at their effectiveness and also making sure that the facilities work well in future. So a lot of understudy is still being done to do that.
Okay.
But privately, I guess, small areas, they can start doing something like what Thailand government has done. A small installation like that.
How sustainable and how feasible are our recycling programs here in Malaysia? Because I remember having to throw all my newspapers away, and it was at a factory in some... God knows where it was, but because I'm passionate, then I made that extra effort to go there. But your average layman who's like, nak buat tapi jauh lah, tak nak lah. How can we promote exercising and recycling these efforts, these recycling efforts that we have.
So just for information, we have just launched this competition for recycling throughout the country in schools.
Okay.
So we are now looking into 10,000 schools participating in this, and I hope there'll be no trash at home, because all the school kids will bring everything that they have in school at homes to the schools. so that the school can win that competition. So I don't know whether there'll be enough, contractors who collect those items in the future. So
I think my daughter's school will win that one.
Yeah, win that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're having a shoot this Thursday in school for their school's recycling initiative that's been going on.
But that's just it. I mean, as much as we do, because monkey sees, monkey do. So we as parents, educators and stuff, we should implement this and try and instill this in our kids. But at the end of the day, yes, we want to make sure that our kids understand just how important proper wastage management is, but it's the adults yang buat salah ni. How can we then try and change that habits? I know they say, oh, that habits die hard, blah, blah, blah. But how can we still, come on, guys, wake up. Wood, like an example that I think, I can't remember which country is doing it, but I think Yasmin mentioned it earlier on, having like, solid waste-based tariffs. So if you are throwing away more, then okay, you've got, it's like a, bayar lebih lah, like a water
pay principle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are we implementing that? Is that in the pipeline?
I believe yes.
Yes,
but it's
okay.
not at the moment. Yeah.
All right. Would this actually put some fear into our, citizens about proper waste management? Do you think that would work? It shouldn't be the case because we should all be civic conscious, but at the same time, like...
Maybe we have to start with fear first. Or start with something that hurts your pocket a little bit.
Like Singaporeans, yeah.
Yeah, and then change that mindset, because at this stage, I think we're quite lackadaisical about this whole thing with waste. We're just not taking it seriously. Until one day we have to go buy a house that was formerly a landfill, maybe. Then we'll think about it differently. But I don't think the average Malaysian cares enough. That's the fundamental problem that we're facing.
Well, inshallah, with the enforcement that has been carried out rigorously since 2 months ago, thanks to you and your team, and the constant NGOs and the, the awareness that we're creating with the kids, with the adults, inshallah, we will have that awareness that we need. At the end of the day, it's all about throwing away less, recycling more, and just doing your part. Every bit does count. Well, thank you so much, Yasmin, Saiful and Dato' for being so informative. Hopefully this will be an eye-opener to our viewers at home and to spread the awareness just how important, and not just on Earth Day or on all these, celebrate Earth, eco-friendly day, yada, 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 but every single day, because this planet is not just for us, but it is for our generations to come. All right, we're going to go for another quick break here on Bella, but right after this, we're going to be speaking to our guests who are able to make fashion from plastic bottles. Say what? Stay tuned.